Welcome back to Radical Health, y'all. Thanks for being here. I'm back in Miami after taking a nice trip out to Austin, Texas for the 2024 Texas Fruit Festival. This episode is going to be a recap of the fest. I want to bring some of the special energy to the listeners who couldn't make it out to Texas and fill in anyone who's never been to a fruit fest about what's going on there and what you're missing. I brought a microphone and my field recorder, so I interviewed about 9 people to get their insight and perspectives on the fest. So later in the episode, you're going to hear from Joe, John, Linnea, Dulce, Vic, Maya, Darren, Alex, and Dave. And thank you to those guys for being on the show, for sharing some of your story with us. Now, leading up to the event, there were some strange vibes in the air because of the hurricanes. The event was October 19th and 20th, but in the weeks leading up to it, we faced 2 of the strangest storms in history, Helene and Milton. They were 2 weeks apart from each other, and they caused massive devastation in the southeastern U.S. Most of our consciousness was occupied by these storms in the weeks leading up to my trip, so I was unsure if the event was even going to happen. Well, turns out it did happen. We had perfect weather, and it was such a beautiful, relaxing change of pace from the stressful and sad state of the end of this year's hurricane season. I want to extend a warm hug to anyone who's lost property, health, employment, or anything from these hurricanes. I donated some money to a friend in North Carolina, but that's just the least I could do. If I could inspire any action in the future when it comes to helping our fellow Americans in these storms, it might be this. We've seen the government agencies, which are supposedly responsible for rescuing and rebuilding after natural disasters, we've seen them drop the ball over and over again when it comes to relief. And in the mountains, we saw most of the relief come directly from the communities and residents. So next time a bad storm hits your home country, I encourage you to please donate some money to boots on the ground individuals and organizations, not the big name nonprofits, because most of their donations go to operating expenses like salaries and not to food, clean water, gas, which you can get directly to the people and which is what the communities actually need. Miami was pretty spared this year, but you can't say that about all of Florida. So again, just my heartfelt sympathy and support for people going through it and rebuilding right now. On to the highlights of the festival. Let me just say first that overall, the fest was incredible. It was amazing. I had such a great time. Really grateful for the organizers for putting it together. Grateful for everyone who came out. It was really, really fun. The music itself was a highlight of the festival. And before I even got there, so I drove from Miami to Texas. That's a huge, long trip for a lot of people. I like the road. I like stopping in Central Florida and picking up pomelos. You know, I like stopping in Louisiana and seeing my people. So I did stop in New Orleans on the way there. I picked up a friend of mine, Gabby. She's a fruit eater and a musician as well, so she brought her accordion. But while I was in New Orleans, I got to see the old band. Got to play a little music. I didn't stay as long as I wanted because we were on our way to Texas, but it was a nice little warm-up to play my saxophone in New Orleans with the homies, just in preparation for a great weekend. So most everyone's getting there Saturday morning, and there's some great background music playing. Actually, all weekend we had a nice funky playlist. I wasn't in charge of it, but there was a lot of Wolfpack and that whole universe of bands playing. You know, we were listening to Joe Dart bass lines the whole weekend. So that kind of set the vibe. On a good note, think whatever you will about Wolfpack. I like them. They're funky and all their side projects, the Fearless Flyers, you know, Corey Wong, all that stuff. It's fun. I think that was well curated. It was just background music playing in the courtyard, but it was nice. So Dave, one of the organizers, his band played on Saturday night, and that was one of the main musical events that weekend. You know, they had a nice long set. Dave's a great frontman and guitar player and singer. They invited me up for a couple tunes, so I got to play sax on one original and one cover. It went great. We had never rehearsed. They just sent me the tunes, and I listened to them and learned them, and there was an improv involved as well. So that was fun. Saturday night, Rippleberry is Dave's band. We rocked out. It was a great time. Before that, though, Vic Wheeler hosted a sound healing session. I was not there for that. I was involved in Vic's Sunday song circle, which was super fun. I'll talk about that in a sec. Sunday morning, we did some ecstatic dancing. So I thought that was well curated by Lisa. The songs in the beginning were more minimal and sparse, and she was developing and curating the vibe to increase in intensity and get more vocal and more syncopated as the time went on. And that way, she encouraged us to move differently as the time went on, as the songs developed in rhythm and tone. And I just thought that was nice, because in the beginning, she didn't give us much direction, but eventually got us that we were all just grooving and cutting the rug and expressing ourselves and not caring what other people thought. Because that's a big thing with dancing. You can feel self-conscious when you're trying to dance. You can feel awkward. There's not a huge dancing culture in the United States. I'll just speak for myself. I remember my parents signed us up for ballroom dancing classes, and it was like the most awkward thing because it just wasn't natural to us. It wasn't part of our everyday culture. And obviously we didn't continue with ballroom dancing. It just wasn't a thing in our culture. And I didn't grow up in New Orleans where we have the second line dancing ingrained in the culture. So I learned dancing by going to punk shows and moshing and skanking at ska shows. And I love dancing to this day. So I actually really like the ecstatic dance component of this fruit festival. And that's such a good way to start the day. That was a super fun hour, Sunday morning ecstatic dance. The last event on Sunday night was the closing song circle with Vic. Great job, Vic, leading us in song. We were all singing call and response. We were stomping our feet. We were clapping our hands. He got us literally all singing. And he got everyone there who had an instrument to participate. So I was playing guitar. Gabby was playing accordion. Jules was playing the drum. Vic played his flute and he sang a lot. Everybody else was singing, grooving. And it was a nice way to end the Fruit Fest. I just wanted to start with the highlight of the music and just how I thought it was well done, how the vibe was cultivated through sound. The fruits and the food were all amazing. Big shout out to Skylar, who drove down toward the Mexican border to pick up a bunch of fruits. I think the highlight of the food for me were these baby bananas. That's the name of the variety, baby banana. They have 5 to 10 times the flavor of a regular Cavendish banana, but they're like a third of the size. And what made them my favorite at the event was how perfectly ripe they were. They were fully yellow with a little bit of brown spots and just this perfect, epic sweetness and texture to them. So props to the organizers for picking up the fruits at the right time. They were all delicious. We had watermelon, which was amazing, both red and yellow. Shout out to Justin for bringing some yellow watermelon. We had grapes, oranges, never-ending pineapple, rambutan, pineapple juice. Thank you to everyone who came and donated fruit. John Kohler brought some pineapple guavas that he grew on his own property. I brought some egg fruit and some persimmons to share. I didn't have that much, but people who did try them were psyched. But yeah, the food was amazing. We had a salad bar toward the end of each day. Simple. Lettuce, tomato, avocado, cucumber, lime, and whatever other cut fruit we had available. Pineapple, papaya, oranges, etc. Dates, tamarind. So yeah, it was a good time with the food. Nobody went home hungry on those days, that's for sure. The venue of the Texas Fruit Fest was big and interesting. It's sort of this complex of restaurants, cafes, and other businesses. So if you didn't want to just eat fruit in our courtyard area, you could order a plate of cooked vegetarian food from one of the restaurants there, or high-quality cacao from this cafe. There was juices and coffee nearby. I mean, things for everybody. There were hammocks and benches and covered picnic tables scattered throughout the grounds where you could sit and relax, have a more quiet conversation. I think it was a perfect venue for it. We were outside in this courtyard and had 2 rooms that were sort of alternating with the events. There were speakers in the auditorium and then more physical exercises and activities in the other room. And then if you didn't want to attend any of the scheduled talks or activities, you could just hang out in the courtyard and meet people and chill, which is what was happening the whole time. There were actually other events going on in the same complex at the same time, which attracted new folks who didn't even know the fest was going on. A lot of people would just come to Casa de Luz for a coffee on Saturday and then be like, oh, what is going on here? And I'd tell them, yeah, free event. It's donation-based. All you can eat fruit, activity speakers, come hang out. And we got a lot of new people coming in and sharing the event with us that way. Now I set up my books. We had a little welcome table. Karen Ramsey was selling some of her books that she authored. I was selling the Fruit Companion, and I also had a couple boxes of used books on health, like the China Study, some John Robbins books, a book by Gabriel Cousins, books on gardening, books on foraging. And it was well received. People came and looked through them, bought some of my books, bought some used books, bought some zines. I had some radical health zines that were out of print that I just printed up a few more to bring, and people enjoyed them. So yeah, thanks for everyone who bought a book, and thanks to the organizers for allowing me to sell books. Now, one really fun hour was sitting on the speakers panel. Most of the speakers sat up there. It was me, Jillian, John Kohler, Jules, and Karen Ramsey. And Dave was hosting. So Dave was asking questions, and he was getting questions from the audience. Now, in my position, I was just so grateful to be there. I have been listening to these folks' YouTubes for a while. Not that I idolize or consider anyone like a celebrity, but I just thought it was really cool, and I was super grateful to be sitting alongside people whose voices I had heard for so many hours cumulatively. These people inspired me and taught me things on my journey, and now I'm up there with them, answering these questions and offering my perspective. That was a highlight for me. And then later on that night, I gave my talk on fruit. It was inspired by the Fruit Companion, my book. And I'm not focused so much on raw food as I am just about fruit and the abundance and the variety and the deliciousness of fruit in general. So what we did is we went through all the fruits we could think of that start with the letter P. Persimmons, papaya, pawpaw, pomelo, pumpkin, peppers, right? People forget that pumpkin and peppers are fruits. Yes, they're also vegetables, because a vegetable is any edible part of a plant. So therefore, in my book, all fruits are vegetables, but not every vegetable is a fruit. And yeah, a lot of raw vegans don't enjoy pumpkin because it needs to be cooked. Those starches need to be broken down into simpler sugar. But what's beautiful about that is when you do cook down a pumpkin, the starches do break down into simpler sugars, and it begins to resemble the profile of that of a sweet fruit, like a mame sapote. Now, I don't recommend using salt and oil to cook a pumpkin. I don't think you need to. All you need is heat. And you still get the benefits of a whole food, of a pure fruit that's in season, that was given to us by nature. But yes, it does involve some heat. Many people in the fruitarian world choose not to eat cooked food. Great, go for it. But I do, and that's why I love pumpkin. I love peppers. I love chayote. Things that are commonly considered vegetables and commonly cooked. I still really enjoy them as a fruitarian. And by the way, when I say fruitarian, I don't mean I only eat fruit. No, a fruitarian is one who eats primarily fruit. So you could eat 65% fruit, and then 35% of your diet can be anything you want. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very controversial opinion about what a fruitarian is. I think you can be a fruitarian and eat cheeseburgers. That's my opinion, and honestly, that matches the most common definitions of fruitarian. Primarily fruit. If you eat fruit for breakfast and fruit for lunch, and you eat paint chips for dinner, you're a fruitarian. You're a weird fruitarian because who eats paint chips? But you get my point, right? Is that you do not have to eat exclusively 100% fruit to be a fruitarian and to get the benefits of fruitarianism. Now, if you want the full benefits of fruitarianism, I would not recommend eating cheeseburgers or paint chips or anything that the body has to spend a lot of energy to break down and expel the waste of, which is why most fruitarians allow themselves green leafy vegetables, nuts and seeds, condiments, certain supplements. But to me, I don't need to split hairs. Primarily fruit, to me, means fruitarian. Simple. And then while we're at it, frugivore is a different term. Since fruitarian has to deal with your choices about what you choose to put in your mouth, frugivore has more to do with your design and your biology. A carnivore is born a carnivore. Cats are, by their biological function, carnivores. Now you can feed them kibble, which is not just raw meat, because carnivores eat raw meat. You can feed a cat kibble, and it's still a carnivore. Guess what? You can feed a cat avocado, and it's still a carnivore, because it was born that way. Humans, every single human on Earth is born a frugivore. A frugivore is a being who is physiologically and biologically adapted to eat fruit as their primary fuel source. So, frugivore has to do with our biological build. Fruitarian has to do with our choices. So everyone listening to this, if you're a human, you already are a frugivore. If you eat at least 2/3 of your diet fruit, then you are, in my opinion, a fruitarian. Now, we don't need these labels. Labels can divide us. Labels can get in the way. Labels can create identities and identity politics, and I'm over a lot of that stuff. It's not helpful in many ways. But for the sake of communication, we do use these labels a lot. So I'm not opposed to them. I'm not against these labels. But we don't need to go making them our identity and shaming other people who have either A, a different idea of what the label means, or B, someone who eats differently than you. So anyways, that was a little side tangent, but Monday morning, we all got up and kept the party going. A big handful of us went out to Barton Springs, which is only 5 minutes away from the venue. I think the proximity of Barton Springs to Casa de Luz is amazing. Such a cool part of the fest. They did a hike and swim early Sunday as well. I didn't do that because I wanted to just get my sleep on and get to the fest to sort of set up my books and everything. If you're organizing a fruit festival and there's no like outdoor nature part of it, it might feel like it's missing a little bit. The outdoors is so crucial. That's where the fruits grow. That's where humans thrive. Bodies of water are cleansing and healing. And a lot of us on this journey, we want all the healing. We want all the connection to nature, the reconnection. So going out there Monday morning, walking out with some friends, throwing the frisbee, jumping in the water, being silly. Huge, huge highlight. That was awesome. And the fact that it was perfect weather the whole time really just added to the beauty of the Barton Springs experience. I'd like to now turn it over to the interviews. We're going to hear from 9 friends of mine. Thank you guys. And yeah, let's hear from them. What do y'all think? Radical Hell! I'm here with Joe Mead, my friend. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
Doing well. Why do you eat a high fruit diet, or why do you live a high fruit lifestyle?
It's the healthiest thing you can put in your body. It's living food. Most of the stuff that is in the public now is fake food. It's not real. And it's just designed to put horrible things in your body and make you sick. So then you can go to the hospital and then give you the drugs so they can not heal you, but like treat your symptoms for a little while and suppress the bad shit in your body so then it can come back out later on and then you can go back to the hospital, get more pills. That's why it's called the Food and Drug Administration, because they control the food so you can take their drugs. That's why I eat fruit.
Right on, man. Well, we're here in Texas at the Texas Fruit Fest. Why did you choose to come here?
I like this community. I want to go to as many festivals as possible because I feel like this is my tribe, and I just feel better here. It's more high vibe than most places I go to in my regular life. So even if this is 2 days, it's still a good retreat to basically re-energize and refocus, and get back into it. Get like everybody gets lazy, you know what I mean? So like it helps me stay focused after I leave here to keep on track.
Yeah, I find that too, like the inspiration, just seeing everyone else living this lifestyle and sharing the food and forgetting about anything besides fruit. I mean, I'm eating pineapple, bananas, oranges, watermelon, durian, pineapple guavas, and I'm not thinking about anything else. It's perfect. That's all I need. Oh, we got salad bar at night. This is perfect. These fruit fests are awesome. How did you get into this lifestyle? I'm curious.
I wanted to live again. But a big thing was I was eating meat next to my dog, and I was like very deep in thought while I was doing it, because why would I kill a cow when it's the same as it's an animal? It has consciousness just like my dog does. So why would I have a cow tortured and killed and then pet my dog and love my dog? It didn't make any sense to me anymore. So I decided to stop eating meat, and then it just spiraled into not eating anything but fruit. So I try to stick with fruit, herbs,
And did you have health issues too that you were trying to overcome?
Yeah, so I was diabetic. I was over 350 pounds. I'm 165 now. So I've lost almost 200 pounds. But it wasn't really to lose weight. It was because I had undiagnosed diabetes, because I didn't trust doctors then. So I didn't want to go to the doctors then. So it was undiagnosed. And I was depressed all the time. I hated life, like hated it. So it was time to change. And that's why I wanted to start living again. Like, I used to not care about anything or anybody, and now I love everything and everybody. So it's a huge change, and I think this lifestyle brings out the love in everybody as opposed to the anger and hate.
Yeah, man. It seems like a lot of people think there's this that the human nature is to be evil or greedy or that we're just animals and we're all out to kill each other. But to me, that's more like the human condition, that we're conditioned to be that way. It's not in our nature. When we live in harmony with the land and the food that's provided from the land, the love comes back and the hate goes away. And when we clean out the colon, especially, I notice a lot of sadness, depression, anxiety, fear leave immediately after I evacuate any foreign substances from the intestines. Now, have you had any experiences like that where you've done like a big cleanse or anything?
So I just finished a 40-day water fast last month in September, and I actually did a colonic on day 18. And she said she put 40 gallons of water inside of me throughout the process. And after the colonic was done, she said I was a shy pooper, so nothing. This might be too much information, but she said I was a shy pooper, and that when after the colonic is done, I went into the bathroom and actually tried to poop, and dude, it was just black. I couldn't even see what else was in there because just the water was completely black, dude. Disgusting. And that was after over a year of being fruitarian. So like, I obviously wasn't cleaned out, you know what I mean, throughout the whole year of just eating electrical food. So yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, I've had multiple poops where I was like, what the hell is that? So especially I did actually. Today's the first time I've ever had papaya, but I've had papaya seeds before, and I mixed them with honey because it's a parasite killer. And after that, there was some really odd shit in my poop. I mean, I couldn't tell if it was parasites, but yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so the 40-day water fast, if people want to hear about that, you did a podcast episode about that. What's your podcast called?
Godspeed Podcast. It's there's two heads in a circle. There's other Godspeed podcasts, but we're the better one.
Cool. What is your favorite fruit, Joe?
Sapodilla or jackfruit. It's a tough. My most recent experience with sapodilla wasn't good because I think I got it from the wrong place and it wasn't in season. But yeah, I'd say jackfruit or sapodilla. They're delicious.
Super delicious, and
Sapote. When it's ripe, black sapote when it's ripe, it tastes like chocolate pudding.
Yeah, no, I sent you a box this winter, some sapote and sapodilla. Yeah, man, and the fruits that grow in the south in Miami, in the tropics and the subtropics, we got jackfruit, we got sapodilla, sapotes. That that type of food is what can help convince people that fruit, can sustain us. Because if you're just going after the apples and grapes in the grocery store, it can feel like not enough. And so when we supplement with the denser foods and these more exotic tropical fruits that are actually they're thicker, they make you feel more satiated. So
And that's probably why we only get the apples and the grapes and the bananas, because they don't want us to have you know what I mean, the other stuff to make us feel like we have a full selection of food. They want us to think that this is a breakfast food, or this is to put on your cakes and pies to make it sweeter. But I think I'm under the impression that everything is done on purpose to us. So, and everything is a lie. That's just me.
there are many conspiracies to keep humans sick. That's just evident. It's very evident in the world. So, well, thanks, Joe. Any last words of wisdom for the people listening?
Yeah, eat fruit. I mean, throw away the processed sugar and crap and eat some fruit. Fructose.
Love it. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, I'm here at the Texas Fruit Festival 2024 with John from Raw Alchemy. How are you today, John?
Good. How you doing, brother?
I'm amazing. I mean, this fest is so much fun. Community, high vibe food. What more could you ask for, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a perfect day. Weather-wise, it's perfect. The people out here are amazing as well, of course, and the fruit quality has been insanely great.
Really has. I'm impressed with the fruit quality. John, you have an interesting experience having undergone a very long juice cleanse, hundreds of days, right? What was that like? Can you tell me the details of that?
Yes, that was a 230-day juice feast, I call it. It ended about 2 summers ago. It was incredible. It was something that I feel like it kind of snuck up on me, like my higher self was kind of coordinating behind the scenes. Now I look back and it was very clear, but for about 4 months leading up to it, I'm for the past 15 years, just to share, I've been either high raw, maybe 9 months out of each year, where it's like mostly fruit juice and smoothies till dinner, and then a salad often. And then if I'd add a little bit of like a whole food plant-based cooked item, potatoes, sometimes rice, sometimes beans, lentils, and some like roasted veggies or something, steamed veggies. Just some of those items. And then 3-4 months out of the year, I'm like fully raw, ranging from like fruitarian all the way to like the full raw vegan kind of like spectrum, I would call it. So the juice cleanse, I just found myself, I had just moved back to Florida from California, and I found myself eating a little bit lighter each day. And over 4 months, I realized I went from like a high raw, like raw till dinner lifestyle, all the way to like fruitarian. And then I actually got to the point where my banana-based smoothies were starting to feel very dense to me. And I decided to just start my day with juice one day. Lunchtime, midday, I was just drinking more juice, juicing a little bit more. And for dinner, I decided to stay on juices again. Ended up going one day on juice. The same exact thing happened the second day. By then, I started thinking, maybe I'll go a week or something. This is kind of easy. Wasn't craving anything else, anything that wasn't juiced. All these juices were cold pressed, made at home, filtered. And next thing you know, I had gone 14 days, which was my longest juice cleanse in the past. I wasn't intending to like break my personal, record, so to speak, or anything. But at that point, I thought, it might be cool. Maybe I'll go 21 days. This is really effortless. It felt very divinely led. Like I always pull on my heart or like the center of my chest, like my solar plexus. It felt like the center of my solar plexus was guiding every action of mine to juice for that period of time. Next thing you know, 21 days had come and gone. And then somewhere between day 21 and day 40, I often share that I feel like I went into juice orbit, kind of like zero gravity in juicing terms, where it was absolutely effortless. I had no thought of like eating anything with full fiber, even fruit. And I was like in love with the process. I felt like I had gained some mastery over the process of sourcing my fruit, the juicing process, filtering, bottling, taking it with me to work, everything. And that was it. Like next thing you know, I was like approaching 100 days, and and beyond, and ended up going 230. But
did you feel any pressure from outside people around you? Was anyone telling you, "Oh my God, you're withering away, or you're gonna die, or this isn't healthy, or you need protein"? Like, were you feeling any pressure from the outside?
Yes, absolutely. I had some pressure. I had a lot of questions from everybody. Probably the most challenging component to the juice feast was like my body weight decreasing rather rapidly, which generates a lot of questions from coworkers and family members and friends even. I felt like I was very well equipped to answer those questions because I had done a lot of research by then on juicing, juice feasting, on detoxification. I had already been about, I don't know, 11, 12 years on a high raw, sometimes fully raw, fully vegan, fully plant-based lifestyle. So I was pretty well educated. But at times, around day 70, I actually had a point where it had me, I had people saying, like, it's going to be tough to digest food again, things like that, raised concerns. And I think that was ultimately a reflection of, like, my own inner concerns. Did a lot of research, had some kind of juicing angels reach out to me at that time miraculously without any effort on my part. Like Juicing Jules, who's here today, she's one of those people who encouraged me to just keep going, that it's going to be life-changing and I'll be absolutely fine. Because she had gone before me and, she juiced, I think, 166 days, pretty recently before me. So, and that resonated with me. So I had more encouragement to keep going than I did resistance, but there was enough resistance so I could see it becoming a challenge for a lot of people. I was very well plugged into the juicing community at that time, doing a ton of research, following absolutely everybody I could who had juice cleansed before, and just devouring content on YouTube primarily, and that helped a lot. I always say, whether it's juicing questions or the raw vegan lifestyle or being fruitarian or doing mono fruit cleanses, all of it, more than anything really, education has been my foundation. So diving in, reading all the books that resonate with you, watching, following people who resonate, talking in person, going to events like this, incredibly valuable. Like that foundation is what you stand on when, it gets a little rocky or you experience something that you have never experienced before. Or somebody who you really value and trust their opinion might, present something that could cause concern regarding what you're doing if you don't have the answer right away. So it really helps to have resources to turn to and have a lot of experience, but education, in the field.
I love how you have this. You bring a combination of like educational foundation and intuition, right? So the best teacher in life can often be ourselves. And so it sounds like you're embodying that, but also not afraid to listen to everyone else who's done this before you and not listen too much to the doubters. So that's good, man. Good on you. That's a really fascinating journey.
I just want to say that's an incredible point you just made. I highly encourage everyone to follow their own intuition throughout the process, but also take in and allow as much information from outside sources as possible and master the art of discernment when deciding what's right, listening to your own body more than anything. That's what worked for me.
One more question for you. What's your favorite thing here about the Texas Fruit Fest?
I have a lot of dear friends that come here every year. So for sure, it's the people, the quality of people, and the new people like yourself who I've never met yet. Some of which I've been kind of like highly recommended to me by other friends. And it's beautiful how everyone comes together to share our experiences, to validate certain experiences with one another. I love when experiences kind of line up between people. And it's very helpful and empowering. Obviously, like the weather this time of year is amazing. It's a perfect day. It feels like it's like mid-70s, mostly sunny, beautiful, beautiful day here. And the fruit is always a joy, I love Casa Dulce too. This location's awesome for hosting these events. Like really cool vibes here, no matter when you come. But yeah, the people, the fruit, it's the right time of year. They know what they're doing. The whole team's done an amazing job. Those are some of my favorite.
Right on. Yeah, thank you, John. And I totally agree. Community, the vibe, the fruits. Thanks so much for talking with me today.
Yeah, my pleasure, Seth. Thank you so much. Pleasure to meet you, bro.
All right, cheers. John, Raw Alchemy. All right, we're at the Texas Fruit Festival. I'm with Linnea. Am I saying your name right?
Yes, that's correct.
And what's your favorite fruit?
Watermelon.
Okay. Now, when did you get into the raw food lifestyle or starting to eat more raw foods and fruits?
So I went to a raw food retreat center called the Optimum Health Institute to support somebody else. Um, I was not into that idea for myself, but once I got there and I started experiencing just higher energy levels, and my moods were better and my mind was clearer, and I just loved how I felt so much. And so I just took what I learned there and kept it going as much as I could.
When was that?
It has been years ago. It's been a couple decades.
Okay, so you've been in the game. All right. Anything else you want to share about this lifestyle, food in general, health?
So, we live in a world where it's not the easiest thing in the world to eat a raw diet, a vegan diet, a healthy whole food diet, take care of ourselves. And I know I've hit those challenges a lot myself with being able to take care of myself in the midst of like personal challenges and, the world we live in, our society. But I do feel like it's the most natural way for us to eat. Like if you look at our physical makeup and you compare it with animals that live based on instinct that are very connected with nature, you see that we match up with other sentient beings that eat a lot of raw vegetation. And I think that's why we feel so wonderful when we eat that way. And I love what it's done for my life. Whether I've been able to. I've felt connected to it in different ways throughout my life, sometimes less, sometimes more, but I always go back to it. It's the way I feel the best. So
I like what you said about the physiology, our makeup of our bodies, comparing ourselves to other creatures. And one of my favorite ones is to look at our jaw. We have lateral jaw movement, so we can move left to right. Carnivores do not have jaws like that. They can only move up and down. They can only chomp. Dogs, right? And so we have these like flat molars and flat teeth that are good for grinding vegetation and fruits. And it just makes perfect sense when you look at our physiology that, yes, in fact, we are frugivorous beings. You can make the argument for herbivorous. Depends how you define those terms. But yeah, I love that you brought that up. And that you feel this in your body. To me, that's probably the most important thing, right? Is that you can actually experience this transformation, this change for yourself. And like, can you tell me about the first time maybe you noticed a change in your body and was like, oh, there's something to this?
Yes. It was, so when I was at the Optimum Health Institute, I went there for 3 weeks. And I remember a very specific moment of sitting on the grass and feeling connected to the grass and the tree I was looking at. And it was just this moment of like, I want to always feel like this. And there was a whole list of things that I didn't think of as being connected to food that were healing in my body after a week, after 10 days. That's how powerful that kind of transformation is. And I also, not to go on and on too much about the physiology thing, but I also just wanted to mention that, it's also in our intestinal tract. We have a similar intestinal tract to herbivores and frugivores compared to like completely different from carnivorous animals. So when people call themselves carnivores, there's no such thing as a human carnivore. There's no such thing as a human omnivore. We just make we have the power for good or for bad to make choices that go against our instinct, and that's one of them.
I completely agree. When people call themselves carnivores, I think or say, depending how I feel, you're cosplaying as a carnivore. You're dressing up as one, pretending to be one, because the vor is your nature, how you're born, how you're built. So thank you so much, Linnea, for sharing your experiences and your thoughts. And is there anything else you want to add here at the Texas Fruit Festival 2024?
No, that's it. I mean, I'll just say that, it's not an easy path, but it's worth it. And thank you as well, Seth. It was nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Radical Help!
and I'm with the lovely Dulce. How are you today?
I'm amazing. I'm so grateful that you're here, that you're just bringing your magic and your music and your spirit. So thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me. Tell me a little bit about what's going on and what's happening here.
Well, what I love the most is community. It's that's why we are here for, like just the community and connecting with like-minded people and seeing our friends and just having this energy all together. What is going on right now? Well, we have guided meditation going on. We still have Karen Ramsey talk as well. The Rippleberry band, yes. I'm so excited to listen to you. Tomorrow we're gonna have a hike at 8 a.m. and from there it's gonna be ecstatic dance. So we are gonna be incorporating the movement and just the awareness as well, and the connections and amazing fruit that we have all the way from Mexico. Yeah, you can see it in here. The community is just amazing and connecting and sharing and it's just magical to have this space, and we really wanted to keep it like free, which is not, but everybody is bringing their own energy, you know. So that's something that we appreciate, especially from the activity leaders, the speakers, everyone who travels, that pause a little bit their life and just came here, you know. So that's amazing.
Tell me, what was it like getting this event together? What were some of the things that had to fall into place and that you had to do just to get this amazing event happening?
Well, I think the mission and the vision that we all share, and just the desire to bring the awareness, and whenever you have the intention, everything comes and aligns, basically. So people like you and everyone that is here just made it possible. So we kind of connect everything and we make it like happen, but basically it's the energy about from everybody, you know.
Amazing. Now, I really enjoyed your breathwork session this morning. How has breathwork, yoga, pranayama played into your life, and what has it taught you?
Well, that's such a good question, because I've been in this journey and I was integrating like all the living foods and healthy lifestyle, but there was something missing for me, which was the emotional part and just the release of all the suppressed emotions and the stagnation that my body was dealing with. And even though that I was incorporating movement or working out and being raw, even juicing for 144 days, it didn't align to it or just being whole until I really had the breath work doing consistently. Because I was doing it and I was enjoying it, but I wasn't being consistent. And my coach was telling me you just need your spirit and just make it flow. And that took me to the roots of the yoga, like just going to it. And I was going to classes, but I wasn't getting, like I was just waking up and diving deep into the rabbit holes and just knowing like what is it behind this. Like I want to know like the part that I'm not guessing or I wasn't getting from the teacher, from just the asanas, just the root of everything. And it's such a beautiful path to just connect or know yourself. And that's the magic. And that's when you incorporate it and then you feel the flow in it and you just stay with it.
That makes sense because, every aspect of the holistic lifestyle comes with the breath. So when we're eating food, we're breathing. When we're doing our asanas, we're breathing. When we're doing anything, when we're feeling emotions, we're breathing. And the breath is so central. It's the first thing that happens, when we come into this world, and it's the last thing that happens when we leave this world. And so, yes, breath is so crucial. And it was great just to have you, bring that back to the forefront of our consciousness, because it is so important. Dulce, thank you so much for helping set up this amazing festival and for talking to me today.
Thank you, Seth. Aw.
I'm here with Vic at the 2024 Texas Fruit Festival. How are you today, Vic?
Doing great. Glad to be here. I got to taste some durian again. It tasted this one I was describing as almost like vanilla ice cream with barbecue sauce on top because of the smoky flavor and the oniony flavor. But I've also been telling people that you got to remember the durian we've tried today has been frozen while it was shipped and then thawed. So if you think of the experience of eating like a strawberry that's been frozen and then thawed, it's a unique experience to eating a fresh strawberry, but still kind of similar flavors. Have you gotten to try fresh durian? I never have.
I've never had fresh durian from the tree. I've never been to Southeast Asia, but that's on my bucket list for sure. Vic, why do you eat a high fruit diet or lifestyle?
Sure. Well, honestly, once I figured it out, I was kind of like, gosh, why didn't I think of this earlier? So I went on a fast a couple of years ago because I was having I had an infection in my jaw from a tooth infection. That's like another story for another day. But basically, they told me that if it didn't heal, I was gonna have to have a bone graft, and I was like, no way I'm gonna let that happen to me. So I knew I'd had an interest in fasting since I was a teenager because I'd heard that it stimulates healing in the body. So I decided to go on a week-long fast to help stimulate the healing of the bone in my jaw. And while I was on that, I started asking the question, well, what should I eat when I start eating again? Well, what really is the natural human diet? And I was an amateur biologist, zoologist as a kid, and I still enjoy that sort of stuff. And so I was surprised that it didn't ever occur to me to ask this question. So if all the other animals on the planet don't cook their food to eat it, why do we have to cook our food to eat it? And I think the first video I saw was called something like, this guy ate only grapes for 3 days and here's what happened. And that was the first time it occurred to me that, I guess you could eat only fruit all day. So then I discovered the word fruitarian, watched a bunch of Ted Carr's videos, watched a bunch of John Kohler, that's his last name. Yeah, I watched a bunch of his videos, and at that point I was hooked. So when I went off that fast, I started with papaya, and what else did I have then? Anyway, so I went basically 2 years being pretty, probably 99% fruit-based. I'm not 100% fruit-based now, mostly out of convenience for my life and also some budgetary concerns. But after having lived for 2 years of my life eating almost exclusively fruits, it's totally changed my concept of what human nutrition is going to be. So I'm really way more aware about consuming enough hydrating foods during my day, and I'm just not concerned about the protein debate like I was kind of raised to be. First time I went vegan, I was 16. I actually quit being vegan when I was 18 or 19 because I didn't really have any support in my life, and just the pressure of the masculine, what's the right word here? Masculinity, misogyny that's associated with eating barbecue in Texas is like, if you want to be a strong dude, you've got to eat animals.
Yeah, we'll call that fake masculinity.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the first time went vegan when I was 16, it was because my dad had 2 heart attacks, and then he was diagnosed with cancer. So I was just on Google, what to do to prevent heart disease. And so, yeah, that's when I went vegan. And when I didn't really have a strong support around me it seemed like my mom didn't care. It seemed like my family didn't care. And at that time in my life, I was pretty depressed. I didn't have a network of vegan friends who could lift me up when I was feeling down. I think community is really important.
Yeah, that's why I like this festival and all the Fruit Fest is it's a gathering of community. And that seems to be a common theme when I ask people what their favorite part about these festivals are. They say the community. And so now, Vic, you're a musician, and you have something planned for us today, right? Can you tell us about your hour that we're gonna be hanging out in later today?
Sure. Well, actually, I'll tell you just a little bit about the story of my business and my business name now because it's Fruitarian or the Fruitarians. For a while there, I actually 2 years ago at the Texas Fruit Festival, I announced publicly to the world that I was moving forward with teaching flute as my main thing. And at the time, I was promoting the Fruitarian lifestyle group, as well as Flute Soup was the name of my business then, flute playing as a spiritual practice. And twice in the same week, somebody asked me, "What's a Flutarian?" And I thought, oh, it's a sign from God. So now I run Flutarians group. I help flute players improve their improvising. And yesterday at 5, I led with Alexander J. Fox a sound healing session. He played the singing bowls, and I played bass flute, concert flute, piccolo, and also some ukulele. I sang some songs. So tonight we'll have a little bit of the sound healing element, but also it's going to be more like a song circle. We'll sit in a circle. I'll sing some songs that people know, like maybe Imagine by John Lennon. Also an original song by the Cosmic Butterflies band I play with here in Austin called To Create the Peace. And I'll open it up in the middle for some kind of like an open mic for a few people to maybe share some poetry or some original songs, or even just to share a few words about their experience here at the Texas Fruit Festival. I like to give people a chance to kind of integrate their thoughts and experiences before they go on out and continue their life in the real world, so to speak.
Well, that sounds lovely. I'll be there and looking forward to it. Are there any other words you would like to tell the listening audience about the Texas Fruit Festival or just the fruit lifestyle in general?
Follow your heart. One of the things that has really kept me interested in this subject of eating primarily fruits is this idea of what is ethical, what is kind. And when it comes, people would always give me this silly debate when I was a vegan teenager of like, oh yeah, but plants have feelings too, doesn't it hurt the plants? And it's like, oh yeah, I guess when you eat a carrot, that carrot doesn't live on anymore unless you replant the stub or whatever. But with fruits, the fruit is freely given by the trees. It wants us to eat it, to disperse the seeds. And so there's no ethical dilemma there as far as a symbiotic relationship between us and the plants themselves. Yeah.
1,000%. Wise words. Thank you, Vic. Appreciate you talking with me today.
Thanks for the chance to share a few words. I'll see you later.
Cheers. I'm here with Maya at the Texas Fruit Fest. Hi, Maya. How are you?
Hi, great. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Now, Maya, you're one of the organizers of the fest, right?
Yes, I am.
You eat mostly fruit?
Yes, so actually until noon or even after, I drink juices. I start my day with juice. Then I either drink smoothie or eat fruits until the evening. Sometimes I just finish with fruits, and sometimes I eat salad in the evening.
And how long ago did you get into this lifestyle?
4 years ago.
And was there a certain reason or piece of information that you learned that pushed you toward it?
Actually, I just got to a point. I used to eat everything, and I got to a point where I felt that it's just not good for me. I didn't felt good after I was eating, and I felt like I really needed a change. And then someone I know very good, I haven't seen him in a while, and all of a sudden I met him, and he was like thriving and looked so good and high energy, and I asked him what he did. And he gave me the book, the 80-10-10 of Douglas Graham, Dr. Douglas Graham, and I read it, and ever since the first minute I read it, I knew this is how I should eat. So.
Yeah, this is an amazing book. I remember reading the first 50 pages, and it goes into the comparative anatomy. It says, are we carnivores? Are we grainivores? Are we herbivores? We are frugivores, and it just breaks it all down. It's very compelling, and I know a lot of people read that book and transformed the way they looked at food. What is your favorite fruit? What do you look forward to the most when you're hungry?
During the summer, it's definitely watermelon or melon, pineapple sometimes. During the winter, I feel more to eating citruses.
Well, you're showing like a seasonality here. Yeah, watermelon, in the melons is a great summer food. I also move toward the citrus in the winter because they're abundant, they're fresh, they're delicious. The trees are telling us, to eat that. How do you think people can eat more seasonally, you think?
I think when you eat clean, then your body tells you what it needs by cravings. You just feel it. And during the winter, as much as I love eating watermelon, and it's summer, I can eat it all day. During the winter, even now when the winter starts to come, I have watermelon sitting in my house, and I don't think I would eat them. I don't feel like I want them anymore. So just connecting more to your intuition and feeling your body and your cravings.
That's a really good point. I noticed that too. I notice the craving for citrus decrease in the springtime when the melons are starting to come out. And yeah, so maybe just tapping into our body. I love that. That's a great perspective. Thank you for that. I know you're working here at the front table, you're checking people in, but are there any speakers or events that you're looking forward to here at the festival?
Actually, today I participated in the ecstatic dance, which I really enjoyed. I try to do it regularly. And the Qigong session yesterday was amazing. I did only a few minutes of it, but I love Jerome.
Yes, the ecstatic dance this morning was great. And that's just another way to tap into your body, right? We tap into our body by asking what we're hungry for and checking into our cravings. But when we're also moving to music and, we feel all of our muscles, all of our bones, and we kind of just tune in and tap in to our being. So I love dancing as well. So you're a free schooling mom. What does that mean? What is free schooling?
It means, first of all, it means I don't send my kids to school. They're with me. I feel like it's the most natural way that kids should grow and be educated, not by other people. And I'm also like in the homeschooling community. Most of the family is following a certain curriculum, which I don't believe in, because I believe each kid has its own pace and its own interests, and I encourage my kids to follow their interests and learn whatever they feel encouraged to learn at this certain time.
Wow, what freedom for these children. How old are they?
My daughter is 8 and my son is 6.
And what are they showing interest in these days?
It changes all the time. My daughter right now is really interested in the universe and how we came here and who was the first man, and start asking all these questions.
Wow, those are some deep questions for an 8-year-old. I have those questions myself. So that's amazing. Any other words of wisdom about education or raising children?
I have a lot to say about it, but I just think that children needs to grow the most natural. Like in the past, there weren't any schools. They invented them only when all the factories came out and people had to go to work and they had to put their kids somewhere. And in the meantime, they used the schools to learn the kids how to be the best employees they can, but no one encouraged them to know what they like and to learn about the universe we live in and what's right for them. They just teach them what's right for the system. Exactly. So.
Wow, thank you so much. Now, are there any other words you want to leave our listeners with? Any words of wisdom about a vegan lifestyle, a fruit-based lifestyle, or a raw lifestyle?
I just think once people get disconnected from the society that we were born into and start thinking what's good for them and question everything, then they will find the right path for them. And fruits is just the most natural way. It's not processed. It's created by nature, and it's the only food that's created by nature and didn't have to go through factory in order for us to eat it or warm it. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you, Maya. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Check. Oh, that's going on. All right. I'm with Darren. How are you, Darren?
Doing well. It's a nice day outside today.
Was this your first time at the Texas Fruit Fest?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to be here. I've never done something like this, so enjoying some fruit with some friends is fantastic.
And how'd you hear about it?
A friend of mine from Oklahoma told me about it, and I couldn't turn down a chance to come and try it out.
What is your relationship with fruit? And did you learn anything from the festival that kind of inspired any new thoughts about food?
Yeah, so my relationship with fruit is very loving. I've always loved fruit. It's fantastic. I think it's becoming deeper now that I understand the science behind becoming fruitarian, raw vegan, and the health benefits of that. And so I'll be utilizing that in my diet in the future, and making sure that I have the ability to live a happy, long life.
Yeah, that's what we're all after. A lot of healing testimonials that we heard, and it seems like a great way to live within nature. Now, I understand, too, you're trying to put a food forest together, right? What would that look like to you ideally? Talk to me about your vision for your land.
Oh, yeah, I love that. When I'm envisioning my food forest, I start with, meditation and sitting inside of the feeling that I already have it. And, walking into my forest with pears, apples, peaches, plums, all the fruit trees, just creating a regenerative food forest system, utilizing a lot of regenerative farming techniques to be able to create not only healthy food for myself and my family, but also, some sort of sovereignty in this world where we're kind of losing control of where our food comes from. And I want to gain that control back. So that's why I'm starting this.
I love that. Yeah, food sovereignty is really important, and people are definitely leaning more toward that, seeing supply chain issues, looking at the quality of food decrease, and the best way to really ensure quality and access is to grow it ourselves. So would you have animals on the land? Like, what would that look like? What type of animals would help round out this regenerative system in your mind?
Yeah, so having animals is a great tool to be able to really amplify your farm. Putting pasture out there where you got cows that might start off with eating all the grass, and then putting down their nice little fertilizer for all of my plants, and then following that with maybe some goats to be able to again keep on foraging and fertilizing. And then hit it with chickens after that, because they're going to go after all the bugs that are going after all the, dung and everything. And then after that whole process, you have great, healthy soil. And that's really where everything starts, is the soil. So utilizing the animals to help me do something that, would probably take a lot of money, take a lot of equipment, energy, and time, and putting that in the hands of animals that just do that stuff naturally. So I think that's the best way to go.
For sure. Have you ever given thought to bees, honeybees, things like that?
Yeah, I'm actually an amateur apiculturist. I do have 2 hives on a separate property in Houston. I love the benefits of raw honey, and so I will be definitely utilizing those as a tool for not only honey but pollinating all of my vegetables and fruit trees. That's definitely going to be one of my biggest tools to use on the farm.
Nice, I love it. Yeah, bees are really important to a healthy ecosystem as pollinators, for sure. And honey's pretty magical. But just going back to the Fruit Fest, were there any standout moments that you really enjoyed at the festival?
Oh gosh, there was quite a few. I was talking about it with my friend yesterday, and I think one of my favorites was definitely the Qigong. It was a really beautiful movement, and it really helped me release and find peace. Also, the singing circle last night, that was pretty amazing. Really set off the good vibes. So, it makes me really excited to be able to come back for this in the future.
Love it. Well, thanks for talking with me, Darren.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Radical Help!
Hello, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Alex Dornak. I am from College Station, Texas. So it was my first time at Texas Fruit Fest, and I thought it was a wonderful, amazing experience. Met lots of great people and plan to come back next year for sure.
Do you eat a plant-based or a vegan diet?
So yeah, I tried to. I've been transitioning vegan for a while and kind of having my own little setbacks. So it's really inspiring to come this year and get that little push that I needed to be all the way there, all the way plant-based. And yeah, I feel great.
What was some of the best, sweetest food you had this weekend?
Yeah, the mini bananas were amazing from Mexico, but there was a big array of great fruits. Justin and I brought this giant yellow watermelon everybody enjoyed. I really like that too.
Yeah, the yellow fruits were popping. And what about any standout events or workshops or talks or experiences you had at the festival?
So there were two talks that really stood out to me, Karen Ramsey and John Kohler. Thought he was an amazing dude. Had a lot of science-backed stuff. I could listen to him talk all day.
What was one thing that John presented that made you just think a little more?
So this freeze-dried, he had like a vacuum freeze dryer with this fruit that just tasted amazing. The jackfruit was just like a standout for me. Now I gotta get me one of those so I can make it at home.
Yeah, and the freeze dryer is great for just preserving food and having it in case of, light access to food and in the winter or something. And you can also rehydrate it, or just eat them as snacks. It's nice and crunchy. So, yeah, the freeze-dried jackfruit was really good. Did you try the freeze-dried potato?
Yes, so I'm a huge potato chip fan, but I don't think my body and system is a huge potato chip fan. So it was like a little bit healthier way, as long as you stay in moderation with that, to still get the potatoes. So I love that. And, I wasn't expecting too much cooked food with a lot of fruitarians and raw vegans. So that's why he really stood out to me as like somebody with a lot of variety.
Yeah, and it's nice because there's no oil or salt in these dehydrated potatoes, but they kind of fulfill the same type of the textural experience you have crunching through it, and also getting that delicious potato carb flavor. Did you try the pineapple guavas that John grew?
I did, yeah. Very healthy, very ripe, tree grown, tree ripened. We love that. It's hard to find a lot of tree ripened fruits.
Now, Alex, where you're from, where you live, do you find good access to a variety of fruit, or do you find trouble with that?
It kind of comes and goes. I work for HEB, so we have a pretty nice produce section that we like to utilize a little bit from Costco, to be a little more cost effective. And the farmer's market for sure, especially this summer. The watermelon we brought was from there, and there's this amazing guy. I'm not sure his name, but we want to get to know him because those watermelons he grows are just amazing and like a huge amount of food.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm impressed by how much food one watermelon is and how much watermelon one vine can produce, and then how many seeds you get out of one vine. You get thousands and thousands of watermelon seeds that can then plant, more vines and more food. And meeting your farmers and having a relationship with them is so important. So it's good that you're seeking that out. Any words of wisdom or inspiration that you want to share for anyone listening who might be thinking about fruit, eating plants, or living in harmony with nature?
Yeah, anytime you can get a whole food, a whole plant that's alive and eat it, you should do that because it just makes you feel amazing. And it's good for the planet. Like you said, there's so many seeds, they just regrow and regrow. You don't need to cut down trees to grow it. You just enjoy what nature has to offer.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing the wisdom.
No problem. Thank you.
Radical help!
So I'm here with Dave Escamilla, the chairman and co-founder of the Texas Fruit Festival. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Seth.
So it's Monday morning, and we just experienced 2 days of an amazing Texas Fruit Fest. You did an amazing job with the organizers putting it on. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for organizing it and an incredible event.
Yeah, thanks so much. It was a blast. We had a lot of fun. There was a lot of great speakers, including Seth Balin. There was amazing music.
And your band, Rippleberry, played. That was super fun. You're the lead singer and guitar player of this band. It was just really cool to see you kind of double duty. Now, how do you approach balancing music and your other projects, like organizing and kind of doing your podcast and your service to the health world?
Yeah, this is a good question. This is something I talked about in my talk during the festival, which was I talked about something called that I like to call the health, energy, time, money flywheel. So people like to talk about balance and so forth. And once you achieve balance and you start to get to a good place, you create this flywheel of momentum and stored energy that keeps feeding itself. And so it's not easy balancing work and life and keeping yourself healthy and the economic pressures and social obligations. And if you have passion projects that you want to do, none of this is easy. It's all difficult, very difficult. There's no easy answers, but it's a constant balance. It needs constant focus. How often does a tightrope walker think about balancing themselves constantly? It's a constant thing. So it's something that takes a lot of work, and I guess there is no easy tip of here's how to do it. It's just difficult.
But I assume that you kind of just keep your purpose at the forefront, and like with music, it's fun and creative, and then with the festival, it's really it's a business, but it's also a service to the community. And to me, that seems like you're just putting things are very purpose driven, and that seems like it kind of creates the momentum naturally. Would you agree?
Yes. What I do in some of these things is very illogical. It doesn't make sense for me to do a lot of these things, and I like when I sort of look around and I think, why am I doing this? There's no logical reason for me to be doing this. I can't even justify this rationally. That's what it's like playing in a band, in fact, or pursuing music. I feel like I got sucked into it just because it's so fun and I enjoy playing with a band so much. If I looked at my life very logically and analytically, it kind of would make no sense how much time and energy I put into it. Same thing with the Fruit Festival. I mean, it's not a great business, trust me. But it's so much fun, and it kind of makes no sense for me to do it. But kind of you realize some of the best things in your life are the things that you can't justify rationally, but it's like the difference between a career and a calling. A career comes from a Latin word, I think, for carrier, which is something that you carry around with you, as opposed to a calling, like you're saying, that purpose. It's really like a magnet that's driving you forwards into something, and it's easier to be pulled than it is to push something. And so that's what a lot of this feels like.
Well said. Thank you. Now, speaking of getting pulled in a direction, tell me a little bit about how and why you discovered raw food and the raw food diet, and tell me a little bit about what you eat now.
Yeah, so I eat pretty much raw, vegan, high fruit, low fat diet, and I've pretty much been eating a raw, vegan, mostly lifestyle for about 6 years, and I just discovered this information because I was struggling. When I was 22, I got pretty sick because I drank too much cough syrup. My friend and I got high on cough syrup, and this did something really bad to my nervous system, and I realized that next day that I lost my energy, and I felt my mind was dull, and I was in a fog. I couldn't really concentrate, and I felt like this for 4 years, trying to find answers for how to ever feel normal again. And eventually I stumbled across some information about cleansing the body, detoxing the body, and fruit and all this type of thing. And slowly I started to apply this, and it took about 3.5 years of hard work, but I was happy to say that eventually all my symptoms went away and that I just felt normal again.
Amazing. So do you miss some of the heavier cooked foods, non-vegan foods that you used to eat? Do you ever lament or grieve that stuff, or do you miss it?
Well, I do enjoy the smell. If I walk past a KFC or something, I enjoy the smell of the MSG and the fried food, and so yeah. But I don't really miss it. I miss being ignorant a little bit, in that blissful state where you can just, you don't know what you don't know, and you're just here in this experience, and just enjoying a nice fried chicken sandwich, and maybe you don't have the awareness of what it's doing and all the consequences of that. So maybe a little bit, but no, not really. I don't have cravings for food that I basically don't crave any. I used to be totally addicted to junk food, and it took me 3 years to even transition to really raw vegan. So I've dealt with a lot of cravings and a lot of desires for food, but now that's beyond easy. It's all just melted away.
Especially when you feel so good eating raw, living, electric, hydrating, amino acid filled, simple carb filled foods. The feeling kind of speaks for itself, and it's like, why would I put stuff in my body that's going to bring me down, right?
Yes. In fact, it makes it hard to go back. It makes it a very easy path to go down, because people don't want to feel bad. People want to feel good, and in a way, I'm kind of stuck eating the most healthy foods, because if I eat something, even if it's not that bad, but if I stray the course, my body is so sensitive that it will signal to me immediately, and I'll immediately feel bad. So I want to feel good all the time, and so exactly, I want to eat these foods, and I desire these foods, electrical, alkaline forming foods that make me feel like that.
Amazing. So you hosted a great panel last night. You asked a bunch of great questions to the speakers, and I just want to turn one of those questions now on you. Through your experience, 6 years, raw vegan, eating a lot of just raw living foods, what is your best piece of advice for someone starting out on this journey, or for someone who just wants to know more and wants to build confidence to eat more raw food? What would you tell that person?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's so many pitfalls, and there's so many gray areas, and there's so many nuances. I think that 9 years ago, when I was getting into all of this and discovering this information and making these changes, I feel like the information was a lot more scattered of how to go about it. And all the answers were out there, but it was very scattered. You have to sift through all these different things. I feel like I'm going to give credit to people in the community, people like Seth Balin and others who document things. I feel like we're getting a little better organized, where people can find information more easily of good strategies to follow. It's one of the reasons I put together my resource, which is Rapid Regeneration, the Rapid Regeneration podcast, and now it's the book, which is now available, Rapid Regeneration, which is, I think people should find mentors, virtual mentors that they're never going to meet necessarily, and learn from them, and don't follow too many different people, because you're going to follow different people. They all are going to tell you conflicting things, but find a couple really good people who really know their stuff, and find out what's their program, what's their strategies. You need that, because there's so many pitfalls, whether you're looking at cheat foods, high fat versus low fat, supplements, which cleanses should you do, how should you look at transitioning, what about the other non-food things that you need to focus on. All these things are areas that you can learn the hard way or the easy way. The hard way is learning by experience, learning from mistakes, learning from failures. When you do that, you're gonna experience so many losses that you're going to get demotivated to continue going down that path. Learn the easy way. Learn from mentorship. Learn from people who have done it and follow the information. That's what I did. And so that would be my advice.
Cool. And that's why these festivals are so great, because it brings people together to learn from each other, hear speakers talk about their, decades of experience. And it was just so full of inspiration this weekend. So thanks again, man, for hosting the festival, putting it on, everything you do, Rapid Regeneration, Texas Fruit Fest. Dave, thank you again, brother.
Yes, TexasFruitFestival.com. This will be another event in 2025. This is the most affordable, most accessible raw vegan event in the world, and it was a lot of fun. And so if you are wondering about the dates or the details, please go to TexasFruitFestival.com, and I hope that you, the listener, will, whether you're just someone starting out or whether you're super advanced, will get to have the experience that we just had. But even next year, it'll probably be even cooler, and just experience the fun. And I hope to get to meet you there.
Sounds good, brother. Thanks again.
Radical Hell.
I thought it was really cool and revealing that most people mentioned community as being the highlight of this festival. The community aspect is so important when you're trying to go and change your lifestyle and trying to make positive changes. The rest of the world can seem like it's almost trying to pull you back in. Fast food, stimulants, coffee and drugs, food that's exciting to the taste buds but damages the body. It's so tempting. And if we've grown up for decades eating that stuff, then it takes a long time to sort of undo the hooks that it has in your body and your mind. So the community is huge. When you're hanging out with people who all are on the same tip of, no, I discovered the power of raw food and I'm doing my best to stand here. We're all standing together. We're all enjoying watermelon together. We're not thinking about the salty, addicting, stimulating food. We're just enjoying the present moment, enjoying the company, and supporting each other. And we're learning from each other. I can have a conversation with someone who had been eating raw food for 30 years, and it just starts to take away some of the fears of, is this sustainable? Is this going to work for me? Is this even possible? Protein, da-da-da-da-da. And everyone's at such a high vibration and looks great and is feeling great that it's just inspiring. The community is a huge part of why I went, the people. Anyways, yeah, those were some of the highlights. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you were there, hope it brought back some of the life that you experienced. Hopefully it sparked some good memories. If you weren't there, hope this was a good primer for why you should come next year. And if you've never been to a fruit fest, I highly encourage you to find one in your area. There's more and more popping up as this community, as this practice, this lifestyle increases in popularity. It's only going to keep growing, people. Fruitarians and raw vegans may be the weirdos now because it's so counter to the mainstream culture of cooked food, over-processed food. But mark my words, this movement is growing because everyone wants to connect back to nature. We've been so disconnected from nature for so long that this is one of the easiest ways to get reconnected. You don't have to take off your shoes and ground yourself on the earth every day in the morning. You don't have to wake up and sun gaze at 6:30 a.m. One of the easiest ways to tap back into nature and to align with nature and to listen to nature and to be one with nature is to eat fruit. Fruit is the most natural food for humans. We're not spiders, we're not cats, we're not dolphins, we're not cows. We don't eat what those animals eat. We are humans. And how do humans know that fruit is the optimal food? It's appealing. It's easy to open. It tastes delicious without any sort of preparation, cooking, seasoning, or combining. Not only does it taste amazing, it tastes epically, mind-blowingly, deliciously amazing. If it's ripe and fresh, right? because we all know those underripe fruits do not taste so mind-blowing, which can lead people astray. So let me just take this moment and encourage everyone to get the freshest, ripest fruits possible in season. Then you won't be left disappointed. And if you are curious or feeling a little lost and could use more guidance about how to source the freshest, ripest, most in-season fruits, I encourage you to grab the Fruit Companion. So anyways, yes, we are humans. We are frugivores. Fruit is the most natural food for us. It brings us back in alignment with nature because it comes straight from nature. And the fact that it's uncooked means it has its living enzymes and vitamins fully intact. So the power of raw food is huge. But not just raw food, because you could have raw meat or raw rice, and that's going to be like unpleasant compared to a raw watermelon or raw mame sapote. Anyways, yep, thanks for listening, y'all. That was my highlights of the Texas Fruit Fest 2024. I highly recommend to get connected and tapped in to these communities. The support system is huge. The friends you make are huge. So I highly recommend getting to any Fruit Fest, but especially the Texas Fruit Fest, because it was free, it was delicious, it was high vibe, it was well attended and varied, and I met a lot of great folks there. So definitely going to try to go back next year. Thank you to the organizers for inviting me. It was my honor to come and share my passion for fruit, to connect with everybody, and just thank you again, guys. As always, go to sethbalin.com, check out the library, check out the Fruit Companion, check out the videos, the podcasts, the zines, the memes, and some old music. Stay tuned for the next episode, y'all. Love ya.